The grill is shot. The chairs are held together by optimism. And what happened to the rug? Sounds like your outdoor setup is not ready for patio season. Fix it all with Wayfair. Shop Wayfair for grills, rugs, furniture, and more. With 20 million 5-star reviews, room of choice delivery, and expert setup on qualifying orders, it's never been easier to do more for less. Get 10% off your first eligible purchase. Hurry to wayfair.com or download the app now.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Inside Out Smile. I'm your host, Dr. Amber Q, and I'm delighted that you've joined me today. I'm feeling pretty pleased with myself at the moment because I've figured out how to open, get into, crack a coconut, or any coconut. Well, I shouldn't say any coconut because I'm not that experienced, but I have created a system to be able to open a coconut. I've seen people doing it online. There's one girl that is in the States somewhere, I think, and she's always just cracking a coconut and it just opens. She cracks it on a rock and it just seems to be effortless when she does that. But it wasn't the case for me. Whereas now I've created a safe environment where I can hit the coconut with a hammer, having already gotten the water out. And it's great. I feel wonderful. I'm able to now enjoy the delights of eating a coconut, which I know some people don't like coconuts, but I love coconuts. And I think my neighbour likes coconuts as well. So I always like to share with him as well, which is lovely to share, right? So what I'd like to share with you today is not a coconut, because I'm afraid I can't do that online. But I wanted to speak to you about AI, because AI is everywhere. And of course, online, there's all this talk about, hey, you can just have a business with just yourself and AI. And it's great that AI is so useful, and I use AI myself. But there's a study where essentially it says that people who were using AI to help them write, I can't remember what they were writing, but essentially what it was that when the AI was removed, let me go back again. So basically, obviously, we kind of check out a little bit, I think, when we use AI, depending on how we use it. And so in this task, we had people who were using AI, people who were not using AI, but I think it was more for a writing activity. And so obviously people who wrote using AI, they weren't, they couldn't remember as much what they'd written, which kind of makes sense, right? Because if you haven't pondered over those words yourself, and if you haven't picked the right word with the right nuance, then you're not going to remember as much. But what was interesting was that the people who were using AI had lower brain activity, but that low brain activity persisted, right? Because it's like anything in the body. If the brain is a muscle, and if it is not used, then it will deteriorate. And so I really wanted to speak about this, especially as I think we all use AI in some capacity. And I think this comes back to a bigger question, really, about convenience, right? Because I don't know. The thing is that it seems to me that anything that gives us more convenience gives us greater risk. I'm thinking about ultra processed food. I'm thinking about sort of sitting when we should be moving. I'm thinking about, using a lift when you should be using the stairs. There's so many nuances to this. And, I'm thinking about obviously AI and dementia risk, because I think the thing is that we know that cognitive engagement is crucial to reducing our risk of dementia, obviously amongst other lifestyle factors. And I wonder, because what is this doing to the next generation, to children? Because it's something that's even, I think, more more dangerous in a sense than than social media. And I don't know, I just feel that just, in terms of memory, because everything is so convenient. We don't know people's phone numbers. I've mentioned this before. I can't calculate things. I don't really do things in my head anyway. I like to write them down physically on paper. But of course, I think we just do less of that because we have calculators. We have calculators on our phones. And I know that AI is quite new, so there are no, obviously, long-term studies. And we know it's getting better and better. And I think even the experts are saying that, you can use AI to amplify your thinking or maybe to critique your thinking. But of course, it's another thing to actually just kind of outsource your thinking to AI. So I don't know, because with one, you essentially have a sparring partner, right? So it can actually bring your brain up a gear, whereas the other one sort of switches it off. And I think it's hard to tell, right? Because, because I feel that it is hard to tell because it depends on sort of how we're using it and how we are policing ourselves, really, which I think can be quite difficult, I guess, on a day-to-day. So I think we almost have to not just audit ourselves, but have our own sort of operating system in the way that we use AI. I don't know. I do feel that just everything is, I don't know, is down to the effort that we put into it, whether it's a friendship, whether it is, I don't know, something more fundamental like AI and how we think. And this is what I really, really love about Islam, because it is all about doing something with excellence and love. So, for example, if you're preparing a meal, right? So when I'm preparing a meal with my mother, for example, I am preparing it with love. I'm really thinking about the recipe and how we're going to enjoy the food. And I'm filled with gratitude because there's so many people that don't have food. I know I'm cooking with my mum, so someone that I love. And her recipe is just amazing. So there's this real sense of, I don't know, generational passing down of recipes. It's just wonderful, right? And equally, if you're buying a gift for a friend, just anything, if you're doing it with intention and attention, that's going to be great, right? So and I just feel that, I don't know, that I feel that the mind is so sacred, right? The mind is so sacred. And that's why they want it. They want every app, every platform, every algorithm is competing for your attention. Ironically, I'm competing for your attention in this podcast as well. But why is that? Because your attention is the most valuable thing you possess. So I would say to you, don't give it away cheaply. And what I'm going to do certainly is, they're beautiful notebooks everywhere. I've bought so many notebooks, in any stationery shop that I go in, I will inevitably buy something. And so I really, really love the thought of writing, but I don't get to write as much as I would like to. So I'm going to do that. I've been making an effort with my sleep because I think that's really, really important. And of course, exercise and movement is so important. That's another thing I think that in modern life, depending on, I'm not a marathon runner. I'm not that type of person, but I think it's so lovely just to be very active during the day. So those are the things that I'm focusing on. I am training at the moment as well. Just in terms, I'm just doing some strength training with a trainer. So really enjoying that. And so I just need to write more. I think those are the things that I feel are going to be, good for my brain. And I think now I'm going to be asking myself every time I use AI, hey, is this good for my brain? or is it not good for my brain? Because really, our mind is sacred. Our capacity to think, feel, connect, right? Our imagination. I mean, these are things I think that distinguish us from animals, right? It's the power of language, of articulation. So if we have this gift of language and articulation, what are we going to articulate if we're brain dead, essentially? Because that's what's going to happen. If we eat junk food, we're outsourcing our decision making, our creativity. What is going to happen to us? And why do the attention goblins want that? Why do they want it? Because they definitely want it. I feel that they want it because it makes us less human if we do become brain dead, because then you won't question anything. You won't think about anything. And then literally you will just be kind of this automated being. And yet, if we look back in history and we think that we've learned so much through the power of the learnings from poets and scholars, I don't know. I just feel that this is such a sacred thing. And I don't know, it just feels quite weird that somebody would want to take that from you just for profit and greed. It's disgusting, quite frankly. And so certainly I'm going to need to become much more intentional about my attention, I think, and the way in which I use AI. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with everyone, because I do feel that we're really in this battleground now for our own humanity. So until the next episode, let's just all create connection and not just change lives, but save lives. Because although we're fighting maybe more of an emotional, spiritual battle, there are others that are really fighting this physically as well. And our thoughts and our prayers are with them.